Good evening and welcome to the May 28th, 2025 Board of Select Persons meeting. Please join me in the flags.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I look for a motion to approve the May 12th meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. I look for a motion to accept the warrants.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Would somebody read the announcements, please?
The Planning Board will meet on Wednesday, June 4th at 7 p.m. and Select Board will meet every other Monday for the summer starting after Memorial Day. They will not meet on June 2nd. The next meeting will be June 9th. And the June vote will be held on Tuesday, June 10th from 8 in the morning to 8 p.m. at the Municipal Building. This will include the Select Board warrant and RSU 57 budget. The next semi-sesquicentennial meeting for the town's 250th anniversary will be Wednesday, June 11th at 6 p.m. at the fire station. Please reach out to Lisa LePage for any information, 651-1594 or lllepage6@yahoo.com. And as a reminder, if you're speaking at any meeting, please go to the microphones so everyone will be able to hear. And as part of the hearing of citizens policy, no personal attacks on any individual or firm, including town employees, town officials, or members of the public, will be tolerated. During any meeting, please direct concerns about individual employees or town officials to the chairman of the Board of Select Persons outside the public meeting. Please stay current with town information by visiting www.limerickme.org. And also, the public hearing on the 2026 proposed budget for the County of York will be held on Wednesday, June 4th, 2025 at 6 p.m. At the York County Government Building located at 149 Jordan Spring Road in Alfred in the Commissioners' Meeting Room. This is your opportunity to attend the public hearing and comment on the budget. And we have some copies of the proposed funding budget and the assessments for York County, if anybody wants to see them.
Perfect. Thank you. Can we chat real quick, just because it was in the announcements of the summer meeting schedule? We will not be able to meet on June 9th as we have to get prepared for voting on June 10th. So I was wondering if we wanted to possibly meet on June 11th that week, which would be a Wednesday, just so we don't mess up the every other week schedule. I know this was talked about last week with, I chatted about it. We found out about it after the meeting, or we thought about it after the meeting, so I don't know how anybody else feels about it. But I think June 11th works fine.
It's fine.
All right. So we will move the June 9th meeting to June 11th. Thank you. All right. And for department reports, first one I have is Wendy Thorne for the Revitalization Committee.
Good evening, Select Board and Alicia. We had a revitalization committee meeting on May 15th, 2025. I understand John Cleveland was here last week and gave you an update on the status of Deepvale and Hollandville. Some of the things that we discussed is that Stephanie Bishop requested that the Revitalization Committee and the Building Advisory Committee be classified as one because they do work in concert with each other, and that we also outlined 3 town buildings that we'd like to continue to propose improvements for, which are the Brick Town Hall, the old fire building, and the Grange Hall. We also discussed putting together a grant standard operating procedure guide for 2024, following the uniform guidance of federal grants for Deepvale. And there are a number of grant opportunities out there with Community Dynamics, which is 2024 State Historic Preservation Program, Davis Family Foundation, and Community Building Grant Program. And with that being said, we understand that $5,000 was awarded through the budget process for grant writing, and we would like to have you contract John Cleveland to do those, and that equals out to about 76 hours worth of time. Let's see. We would also like to ask the board if they would consider to put into a CD of the deep bail funds. We have $171,000 in that account right now. The project's not going to start until later in 2026. So we figured if there's a 9-month CD out there that we could put $100,000 in to earn funds for that account, that would be great. So we figured a 9-month CD would do it. I'm not sure what the rates are. Your treasurer could probably look into that for you. And that is it.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have Neil Meltzer for the bandstand.
Good evening, Neil Meltzer. Last fall, when I gave my final bandstand report after all the work was done, I mentioned to the board that in the spring we were going to need to do some slight adjustments to the paving. Last week I met with the road commissioner and Carroll Materials, and there was agreement amongst all the parties as to what needed to happen, and that work should be starting within the next few weeks. Once that work is completed, then the contractor, Limerick Steeplejacks, will be able to install the removable metal railing that goes on the right-hand side of the area right after the wooden railing ends. And the reason why that metal railing is removable is so that during the winter it can be removed and it facilitates snow plowing. So I want to inform everybody about that. Any questions about that?
Money left to finish that up?
There's, when I gave my final report, I indicated that $1,000 was going to be needed for the railing. In regards to the paving, I deferred to the road commissioner as to how that was going to be addressed.
And for that $1,000, I'd have to go back and see where we were going to be paying that out of. I don't remember off the top of my head.
So once the railing is installed, then that bill will become due to the contractor. I also want to mention, while we're talking about that again, Limerick Light Iron donated all the railings, all the metal railings, including that one. They really went above and beyond to do that, and we're very fortunate to have them in our community. There's no questions about that. If I could just take another minute of your time. Several weeks ago, when I gave an update on the water district, there was a question asked about the water tank and when it was last painted. And I told you I'd get that information, and I received it earlier today. The water tank was last painted in 2014. In addition to it being painted, there were several thousand rivets that were replaced and repaired. It's good practice to paint an older water tank like that within a 10 to 15 year range, and so we're right in that window now. Because of that, the trustees are in the process of working with a qualified professional to evaluate the condition of the tank and determine what the best course of action will be moving forward. And that'll probably happen this fall. It's a pretty busy time for people who do work on water tanks right now. And so again, the reason I mention that and give you the time frames and all that, so let you know that the trustees are continuing to try to take a proactive approach to the infrastructure of the water district. Okay, you bet.
All right, next I have Dee Dee Tibbetts, the town clerk.
We have all kinds of fun and exciting things happening in the town clerk tax collector's office right now. All right, the election is on Tuesday, June 10th. It's a school budget for 2025 and 2026 fiscal year. There's also a special town meeting for Limerick. There is no state ballot for June. The polls will be open 8 to 8 here on the 10th. You guys just voted, that was in my notes, to ask you guys not to meet on the 9th. Thank you. The questions for RSU 57, Article 1 is, do you favor approving the regional school unit number 57 budget for the upcoming school year that was adopted at the latest regional school unit budget meeting? We have that total to be posted in the booths. They do this every year. It's nothing new, just in case the figure changes. Article 2, do you wish to continue the budget validation referendum process in regional school unit number 57 for an additional 3 years? That's Article 2. And then for the town ballot, Article 2 is, shall the town vote to have an unexpended balance for the earned paid leave account roll over to the designated fund balance at the end of each calendar year? Yes or no? So those are the 2 things that you'll be voting on in June. You won't be here nearly as long as you was in November. Good news, or March for that matter. The new ATV registrations are now available. The new price is the same as last year, but it has gone up, $75 for residents, $120 for non-residents. Boat registrations, they have also increased for this year. I'm sorry. Pays to have toys, I guess, but it all depends on the age, the horsepower, and length of the boat for the cost of the boat registration, so I can't give you those. Milfoil stickers have also increased. They are now $60 per milfoil sticker. They used to be $20. Another big hot topic, the chickadee plates have now begun to phase out. Anybody that has a passenger car chickadee plate, you will now be given a pine tree passenger car plate or a blank passenger car plate. That is only if it is a passenger car. Any commercial antique auto, you do not have a choice if it's blank or the pine tree. You're just going to get a pine tree. If you want to keep your number, this is another big, huge thing. If you have vanity plate or a number that you have memorized and you want to keep, we can't do that here in this office. You are going to have to get a hold of Motor Vehicles in Augusta, pay the extra $25, and they will send you a plate with the number you want to keep. They have shut rapid renewal off at the moment. They're a little behind, so anybody that has noticed when they go on to re-register a vehicle, you cannot. You have to come in at the moment. This is why we are so busy in our office. Please remember, we are 1 man down. Thank you, Anastasia. We appreciate everything she did. She has left and gone to Saco. So it is just the 2 of us until we hire somebody else. That's down on my notes further. But we are no longer closing during lunch. But there is 1 person there instead of 2 during lunch hours. So if you come between the hours of 12 and 2, the wait is a little bit longer. So just make a note. 30-day lien notices have gone out. They went out last week, and I'm turning this over to the tax collector. She's not here, but same office. So people have been calling left and right or coming in. If you have not paid your 2024 property taxes, you did receive a 30-day lien notice. This does not mean your property is going under foreclosure. This is not a foreclosure notice. Please do not panic, because people that have called or come in are panicked that the town of Limerick is going to take their property. That is not the case. The foreclosure process does not start until January 1st. That is not our department. So if you got something from Judith V. LePage, 30-day lien notice, This is not a foreclosure notice. All this means is you have to pay the lien for 2024, and you'll be all set to sell your sell your vehicle, dear Lord, sell your property, or it won't go to foreclosure if you owe 3 years. So, or if you're behind 3 years. We are still accepting applications for deputy town clerk tax collector. We will be doing so. We've received about 4 of them. But we're gonna do interviews the week of June 16th. So if anybody out there has given us an application, thank you. We'll be in touch. Today I did put it out on MMA for the job placements on there for their website, hoping to get somebody with a little bit more experience so we don't have to start from scratch all over again. It is a 37-hour position. We will start at $18 an hour if there's no experience. If you have experience or you have certifications, we will start talking to raise your pay a little bit more. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So we are open to the public until 4:30. We just don't get out of here until 5. So we have to cash out and all that good stuff. Any questions from you guys? Good?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dee Dee. And next I have Julie, our treasurer.
Good evening, everybody. Not too much on the chat to speak of on today. Just I want to thank Bernie for picking up your flags for your Memorial Day. We went with another vendor in Gorham, and he was so nice. They only had 12 at the time. He picked them up on the 20th so that we had them, and then Derek, the owner of Gorham Flags, was ordered and had the remaining 8 because we were authorized to order 20 or not expend over $2,500. He had the remaining 8 flags and the 8 brackets. We had to have the poles overnight shipping, but even with that expense incurred, we still saved over $860.98 on those first 20 flags. If you wish at this time to place the order for the other 20, and they would come into Gorham, that would save the town in exactly $1,000. We were originally priced at $123 for the unit, the flag, the pole, and the bracket. And Gorham Flag Center is quoted the exact same thing for $73, saving us $50 a flag. And we thank them very much. The payroll, let's see, on your June 19th is a holiday and is a Thursday. May I have your permission to run the payroll on June 18th in order that the people can get paid? Otherwise, they won't get paid till Friday.
Yeah, what was that? I make a motion, we authorize the treasurer's office to change the pay to be paid on June 18th instead of June 19th due to the holiday.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you so much. The last meeting, it was brought up that there was 2 late fees on Partners Banks for the fire department's building. One was because when the lump sum was paid, there was misconfusion of their postings. And the second one was the fact that during February, no one paid the bill that was due. And I was not here because that was the 29 days that I was out with a broken back and just got it fixed. On May 20th, Partners has credited us the full account, the full balance, $1,723.48. That has gone back into our general checking account, so we have no late fees being charged. And in return, in the future, the payment will be taken automatically out on the 25th of the month in the amount of $12,310.53. This will be starting in June, so that this will has no chance of ever happening again if something happens in that office. And finally, if you meet on the 11th, as you stated, that'll be another day like today. You'll have to be in here before 2 to sign the warrants in order for people to be paid on the 12th. Just for a heads up. Because I have to have it to the MRI and move to ours so they can get paid too. Okay? And that's all I have. You will have your updated reports again on Friday, and we're posting it so Alicia gets a copy and she can put it on the website for your expense distribution, your revenues, and your general ledger. My plans are for the end of the month to give you a detailed for that month. If anybody needs it to go back for the full 5 months, I would rather do that best for one person than send it all, because that's going to be an awful large file. But you will have them, and that'll bring you up to date. Your reports will always be a week behind from your meeting because the inability to post your accounts payable and your payroll before your meetings. But that's all you will be behind. And that's all I have, if any questions to be asked. I guess my one question would be, you wanted 40 flags. Is it your wishes to save $1,000 and order the other 20 now? Because then we won't have to pay the freight, and you'll have them for either for Veterans Day or Labor Day.
Are we still, I mean, I drove down, or when we installed them, did we go like every other pole or something? Because, I mean, they're all the way down to the Pepperell Mill restaurant.
They are down there?
The flags are down to the boat launch, yeah.
There's flag poles, there's telephone poles that don't have flags on it with the
Correct,
bracket.
yeah.
So I didn't know what you were figuring on 40 and if any get destroyed in the interim. But saving this substantial amount of money and what you was looking to spend, because you originally were looking at $4,900 and change. And you're only looking at $1,364.
I don't care either way. I noticed that there were some telephone poles that didn't have flags on them, but they had a flag holder. But I also think that it looks good from Main Street down to the boat launch. I mean, that's the most flags.
How about if you look at them, we bring it up next meeting?
Yep.
Yay or nay? Okay?
Yeah.
But that's
and do you know, are we allowed to do automatic payments? Because don't we have to technically authorize the payment before? I can check in with the attorney on that. I just
Okay.
don't know. Do you know what I mean? Because it's normally goes through the warrant, so I don't know if we'd be able to allow an auto pay. But
that was
Are you making a motion to do that?
that was John's idea.
If
So
the bank will, if it's okay.
yeah, we can. I will email the attorney, and then we can.
do that
I mean,
next week.
we've already paid for this month, so.
Yes, I wrote out a check.
Okay, yeah, so we can.
Is that amount going to change every month?
May change a little bit, but not much. But that's what is in, the figure is put automatically on my screen. Brady can see it when he brings up the accounts. It's there down underneath the lower transcript to show you exactly when it's being done and how much it's being paid. John asked me to look into it, so that's why we did it, and I've signed the paperwork, but I'm sure I get back out of it if we find that we're not supposed to do it.
Can we
Yeah.
do it the week before? Can we approve it the week before it came out automatically?
if I know from them what it is. But if you do that, you're taking a chance. If it shows on the computer that it's going to be automatically and we do it, you've got a chance for double payment.
If we know a week in advance, though, you'll know that figure by then, won't you?
I should. I can ask Bill tomorrow because he's already set it up this way. But I can ask.
Where you get changes in that figure, you're probably better off to do it that way.
But I was just looking because it wasn't, I was out and it might have happened for 3 months more because I was supposed to have been out for 4 months and I came back in a month. So just got overlooked.
It's either that or set it up in a tickler file so you know what's coming up. It shouldn't be
Well,
hard.
basically, she says that's in there now.
That's fine if it's there. It shouldn't be hard to know when you have a payment coming up.
Whatever your wishes are, but we're just trying to save time and money.
No, thank you. I just don't want to
No,
bite
check
us in the...
check with the lawyer and we'll go from there before I say anything.
Okay.
Okay, please. Okay?
Yep.
Anything else? And Brady, they're going to send you, the paperwork to get your signatures online.
Okay, perfect.
Okay? So he's got it all. I've got to go down. I'll stop in the morning to sign my names.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. We will move on to old business. I have review of legal accounts. I did not see any bill in there.
Did you ever hear back from?
No.
And I emailed the other attorney too, just to see. I should
Let me
check.
just verify.
For what?
There was
See
an
what our
issue.
retainer amount
Oh.
is. Seems
Yeah,
to be
I asked what our retainer was because we got a bill and it said the balance less retainer. So we didn't owe any money, but we had a retainer on file. And then I emailed the attorney and asked what our retainer amount was.
I remembered today.
And she told me that she doesn't know of a retainer on file, but somebody there knows about a retainer on file because we're not getting charged.
You would think so because of where they're working on the can.
Yeah, that's who I asked, was Alyssa.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna follow up again. I thought about that. Yeah.
When you folks said that, I'd like you to know that I sent 2 emails. I think I forwarded them both to you. I sent one last Friday to Karen Oliver. That's the one that's doing our journals. She read it Friday. I still have not heard anything from her. I'll reach out again this week because this is my office can't complete your accurate figures until we get all those journals to do.
This is R.H.S. Smith.
Yes, sir. So I just want to make sure that you were aware and up to date, because I did look and I printed out a copy that it was read Friday.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Veterans Cemetery Committee. Kind of wondering if this can come off the agenda since Joe is handling this and he can update us as necessary. I know a lot of weeks we do. Gail. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Every year we put flowers on my father's grave, World War II, and my husband's father's grave, World War II. This year we mowed it before we put the flowers on it. My husband was very upset. Some other people had already come and mowed their lots too in the annex. And while we were in Highland, there were other people mowing their family's lots. If you're a veteran and you see that, especially if you go down there and see how many flags there are, especially in the annex, but in both cemeteries. But the annex, there's many, many veterans there. And some people have called them the greatest generation. Is there a way that we can ensure in our mowing contract that somehow that our cemeteries are in better shape for the weekend. That might mean ensuring it in the contract. And maybe that person has got to come twice. I
We
know.
already have something.
There is
that
something in the contract.
States right before.
States that,
Well, he
I think
didn't do it. All right, he didn't do it.
I'm just pulling it up right now, but from what I remember, there is something
I
in
think
the
we added
contract.
it last year.
Because we upped the numbers, there was 2 changes that we did. We upped the numbers of times that the places got mowed, or some of the places, and then we updated that it must be done before
And then you need to,
Memorial.
That, under the Hillside Cemetery Annex, aren't those together, being mowed by the same person?
No,
I don't know.
Highland and Annex go together.
Yeah, I
the
know they go
annex
together,
was
but
the
The
worst
town
one.
doesn't pay for that.
We pay for Highland and Annex.
You do now?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Maybe the weather had a lot to do with it, Gail.
I'm sure
too.
it did.
I'm sure it did. And-
But-
And I understand your concern very well.
But Sunday, it was a beautiful day.
He was mowing the
There's a bill on the
3
warrant
or 4
too,
days
so I
before
think, yeah.
Memorial Day. I know he
Highland.
mowed one next to my shop.
Highland Cemetery, Highland
The
Annex.
Baptist church looked wonderful.
Yeah,
The
we saw it
Baptist and
before.
Congregational Church on the top of the hill
But he did.
was all mowed. It was wonderful. That was the last one he probably did. Okay, but it doesn't matter when you go there and the grass is very high. It doesn't.
The one next to the church isn't. Is that what you just said? The one next.
They both that little Baptist one, and if you look at that Baptist one and the Congregational one, they're side by side on top of the hill going out by the Pages. That was mowed. That was
Well,
lovely.
That's not a
Two
town.
different systems.
Yeah, that's not a town.
But it doesn't matter. I'm here
There's-
talking about the annex
don't pay
down
enough-
on
we
Route
don't pay enough
5,
to mow.
below Felch's Corner.
We do?
We'll
Yeah.
have to look at the other.
You pay for half of it.
Half of it. We pay for the congregational part. I'm talking about the annex down
Right.
below Felch's Corner, a sea of American flags of various wars, but a lot of World War II, Korea. My brother is in Highland, and that's Vietnam. Right. So it's just upsetting. And now you're telling me that it should have been done. Please
Well,
speak to them then.
it's a week prior to Memorial that we've asked.
Well, that
we-
grass grew awful high.
I'm sure it did. I mean, I think with the weather that we have had, it's probably been hard. He is on the warrant, so you can see the date that he went. So, and we have, is it 8 times?
Yeah, we upped it. I think it used to be 4. We upped it to 8
So-
because it wasn't getting done enough. And then we put in both cemeteries mowed and weed whacked a week prior to Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, and Indigenous Day.
Right, but it needs to be a little bit closer than what it was.
I think it's just a hard
Should be-
contract.
Of all the times, it should be mandatory. Have it done at least a week before,
It,
or 2 weeks before Memorial Day.
all right.
If it's 2 weeks, it'll be high, okay?
Well, this year would be.
I will go July 1st. I'll put it on my calendar and make sure that they are mowed. And we can just be more
And-
conscientious for next year. I mean, we can't. It should have been done, yes, and the contract states that it should have been done, so
Okay.
I'll look into it. But
Thank you very much.
unfortunately, we can't go back, so.
Thank you.
So I think this can come off I think it can come off the agenda, because Joe will update it as necessary.
I spoke with Joe
Hillside is on
today,
the other
so.
contract.
I spoke with Joe today. I had a couple questions for him. He had a couple questions to me, so.
Do you want me to leave it on? I'm happy
No,
to.
no, that's
I just
fine.
know 90% of the time, there's
No,
just
if
not
there's
a,
anything comes up,
we
we'll-
can add it.
it.
Okay.
All right, next I have lights for municipal building. We have 2 quotes to review. First one, replace fluorescent lamps. $1,195. Alicia, this is for the first floor, the whole first floor?
No, it's just a
Oh, okay, there we go.
Masonic temple. There's the town hall, the third floor.
The brick town hall. The Masonic temple space kitchen area on the third floor of the old town hall with ballast bypass LED lamps. Price includes disposal of old fluorescent lamps. Then replace fluorescent lamps in the Grange Hall with ballast bypass LED lamps. Price includes disposal of old fluorescent lamps. That is $900. And replace all existing T8 fluorescent lamps in the clerk's office, hall, code enforcement office, select board's office, and other small office, and one other small office on the first floor of the municipal building with ballast bypass LED lamps. Price includes disposal of old fluorescent lamps for $10,555. That was from Haladon Electric. And then we have one from Boucher Libby Electric, which Scout Building install 8 4-foot LED bulbs with no ballast required. Masonic Building install 6 4-foot LED bulbs with no ballast required. My total estimate for the above work at the Scout and Masonic buildings is $700. That includes labor and materials for the above listed work and for the state electrical permit if required, if it is a part of the town's office state electrical permit for their LED retrofit. If not, and a separate permit is required, the total estimate would be $850. And in regards to the electrical work described for the Limerick Town office, install 128 4-foot LED bulbs with no ballast required, and change the internal fixture wiring in 53 of the fixtures to suit the usage of these bulbs, and install 2 8-foot LED bulbs with no ballast required, and change the internal fixture wiring to suit the usage of these bulbs. Remove old schoolhouse fixtures in the media room and replace with 5 4-foot LED wraps. My total estimate for the above work at the town office is $6,300. That includes labor and materials for the above listed work and for state electrical permit if required. This price does not include anything that the state electrical inspector may require that is not mentioned above. So how does the board feel?
Well, looking at reading those, I can't see where we're gonna get any benefit out of spending that kind of money on these. We'd be just better off to replace the light bulbs. You're talking a lot of money here. And those lights are not that old. We've got now. One thing about the Masonic, it just dawned on me, when I went up there with, I think it was Boucher.
No, you went up with the Howland.
Was it Howland?
Yeah.
The lights that are in the Masonic temple part are old, and I would question, I think that we get some pushback from the Masonic people about replacing those. Because they are old and they kind of fit in with the decoration and so forth and so on in that room.
They serve a specific purpose up there.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I think when we went, when I went up with the other Boucher, we only quoted for, we didn't quote that room because of that reason. We talked about that, those lighting. So this is his quotes for the lights, and one of the lights that's actually not working in the front room and the kitchen area. Both cover them taking care of the old ones?
One says it, one does not say it.
Because they're like, can't remember offhand what it is at foot, but.
They are, yeah. Would you mind asking him that?
Yeah, no.
Okay. We can bring this back once we find out that.
This is part
Of
of
the ARPA funds.
funds.
So they have to be spent, the money has to be spent, correct? By a certain date?
What is
If-
what is the date?
I think it's end of this year,
I don't know if it's this year or, if it's 100%
end of
next
January
year.
or something, or next year. If we don't do that, I mean, I agree that it is definitely a lot of money. Might be jumping ahead. I would be interested in getting quotes for mini splits for in here, in this building. But I know those are energy efficient, and that's what we agreed to use the money for, was energy efficient upgrades. However, the Scout building, one of the recommendations from the Building Advisory Committee was to replace the lights in there. So, I don't know if when we ask
And the Masonic
Boucher,
needs,
and they need,
they
yeah,
need lights replaced because
Now, that
there's,
fund you're talking about, I'm not familiar with that being the case of where the money was coming from.
the
Is
ARPA.
that's federal?
We voted back in or March.
I think it was November of last year, because it had to be appointed.
It was a certain amount of funds that were left to go towards energy efficient upgrades within town buildings
From what?
from ARPA funds. There was a certain amount that was left after. There was so much, you could look at the article, but that was appropriated for certain things. And I think it was 20-something thousand that then said we would do for energy efficient upgrades. Could go to the warrant.
So if we can get that information from Christopher,
Yeah, I can ask.
and if so, I mean, if the Masonic Lodge has, I'm gonna give you this. If it has to be replaced because there's broken outlets, and the Scout building could definitely use some upgrades, I think $700 is a good price if that does include disposal.
And
but-
we started here, the code office is in the real need. So they still have hanging lights from chains. And the concern when we first got started talking about this was there's groups of children that meet over the code office. And no fail to them, when they're moving around, those lights continuously do that. So that's how we started. Then it was for me to get the quote
For the whole
for all of the floor.
The one thing we didn't do is go down the basement here. What do we got?
No, we didn't.
We really ought to consider that too, because we got people going in there.
Brady, you also have received 2 emails. I believe all of you have, from one from me and one from Dee on dates for your opera very recently.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Okay.
I know John handles that too.
Why don't we table this for another
Yeah.
week till we decide what we're gonna do, or...
I'll make a motion to table it.
Is a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor? All right. Did I give you the agenda? Nope. All right, next on the agenda, we have review of policies. First one is the background check policy. If there is anything that we want to change, we went over some wording. Yes?
We could simplify that real well. I think all we have to do is receive the signed authorization form from the candidate,
I'll give you an example in the back.
have that given to the constable. They run the form. I said I'd go in and verify the form last week, and it's the form all the towns use and everything. It doesn't cost us anything. They get the report back in 2 hours. When the information comes back, again, if there's conflicts, we can address it. If it comes back clean, it just goes into a locked form. I don't think we have to go through 4 or 5 different steps here to
I agree.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a lot redundancy here. So do you want to
You want me to address
put that in wording?
Yes.
Yeah,
I will.
thank you.
I'll take care of it.
Next, we have the personnel policy. Cindy brought this up last week regarding the library. She sent us an email with her suggestion for the range to be 3 to 29 hours worked on a 52-week basis would be considered permanent part-time. I believe that is a very large range. I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that. And she had some other concerns last week that were brought up. I don't know if anybody had a chance to review it.
Just for part-time, Brady?
Permanent part-time.
Permanent part-time. Her suggestion would be to have the range be 3 hours to 29 hours worked on a 52-week basis would be considered permanent part-time.
I wouldn't go over 24.
Because the current one,
We have 12.
it's attached to this, isn't it? The current one is permanent part-time as an employee in this classification works more than 12 and less than 36. And then full-time is 30 or more hours per week. So there's some
Why,
overlap there.
why do we have works more than 12 hours? Why don't we have 0 to, let's say, 24? Have a minimum amount they
We certainly can. So for permanent part-time, you want 0 to 24?
all the ones I've ever heard of are 24, 0 to 24.
And then from 25 to 30, what would we classify that as? Because right now the full-time is 30 or more hours. And if we do the permanent part-time from 0 to 24, then, hi, we're talking about it now.
I told her to listen.
Hi.
Hi. So I was upstairs listening. If you say 24, then full-time is 30 or more. If you say 24, then you're leaving out anybody that works 24 to 29.
That's what I was just saying.
Oh,
What do we?
okay.
What
I
do
was
we?
in the stairway
There's a
for a
delay. No, that's what I was just talking about. Was
Okay.
if we do 0 to 24 for permanent part time, what would the 24 to full to 30 be? And I also don't believe that full time is 24 hours or more. So we would just need to figure out what the classification would be for those 6 hours. How does the rest of the board feel?
Basically, so you're agreeable with 0 to 30?
0 to
0 to 29.
0 to
Well,
29.
okay.
Somebody that gets that works and gets a consistent paycheck 52 weeks out of the year, they're permanent part-time. To me.
You want to make 0 to 29 permanent part-time?
I
Yeah.
don't have a problem with it.
Huh?
I don't have a problem with
Okay,
it.
I make a motion to make 0 to 29 permanent part-time.
I'll
30
second
and
it.
above is full-time.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? And I'm going to be opposed. I think that is too large of a range. But that does pass. So,
Thanks.
thank you. Yeah. permanent part-time, I'll read what it said. It said, permanent part-time employees are subject to all personnel policies and rules and are entitled to pro rata share of vacation, holiday, and sick leave benefits. Benefits will be prorated according to the average hours per day that are worked compared to a full 40-hour work week. So it just gives the people who work from 0 hours to 29 hours vacation days, holidays, and sick leave benefits.
You don't have sick leave. You've got earned paid leave.
So that needs to be changed in there too. No, thank you. I guess my question is,
How many people does this affect moving forward budget-wise? Like to start earning all of these things now that we didn't budget for? Like, does it? Like now you're going from,
12 and above to...
and I'm not saying that it's not the right thing to do, I'm just thinking like our budgets. Like now we are putting our 0 people right up until 29 right now, right? The rest of the year that are earning, or is it only affecting a few people that we're adding? Is it affecting, how many people for you would that affect?
Do you have anybody that works?
They're already, okay. So it might just be Cindy's people then that we're adding.
I'll have to agree with what Cheryl just said there, but the permanent part-time, that phrase always bothered me. Either you're part-time or you're full-time, one or the other. But I see where Cindy was coming from, but whether they're working every week.
Right, because underneath that, you have D, which is temporary or seasonal employees. So they don't work 52 weeks out of the year. So there's another category for them. And then there's exempt employees and non-exempt employees. Contract employment, on-call, per diem, and overtime exemption for firefighters.
We're not allowed to have overtime. Firefighters.
I think there was another word instead of permanent. And in December, that was the word that they changed. I'd have to go back now
I
and...
think it was continuous part-time?
Yes, there definitely was another word, because that was an amendment that we made in December.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds a lot better.
You like continuous? Oh.
Permanent is indefinite and long-term.
Permanent
Yeah.
means they've got a job.
It's fewer responsibilities than those full-time. So, it's almost like an oxy.
I'd have to go back and get the minutes to see what the reasoning was. I can't remember.
Part-time to me has always been not that you're there every week. Because I've got part-time employees there's different schedules. But they're not permanent employees every day. They're working, let's say, a 4-hour shift. So,
But do they work 52 weeks out of the year?
not permanently, no.
But I think this says continuing on a 52-week basis.
So we're gonna have to track, it's like you've got somebody that you're figuring is 10 hours, you're gonna have to physically track them for 10 hours because it's figured that way. It's 10 hours on their vacation time.
I think that it's only a couple of people.
No, I understand, but you're gonna be tracking them every week.
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
That the MRI's
And-
gonna have to do.
yeah, I mean, those are the people that we determined, they work, they do hours, but they weren't subject to anything.
So, I mean, it really should only add 2
I think it's
people?
only,
2, 3 people?
One. I think it's one. I was gonna say, as long as Joanne doesn't, then it's one.
The earn time, somebody that works 3 hours, it'll take them forever to get.
That's true.
4 hours.
That's true.
I figured the earn time into my budget, I don't know if the other departments did or not.
Well, and or we have that earned paid leave account now, which all is in one thing. So I'm not worried about that because I feel like, and that will roll over too. So,
Damn it.
we should be fine with that. But
I know I'm going to get videos of that all night, so the chair almost went over. So,
well, you
yeah,
voted it in, so it's
yeah.
0 to 29.
I wonder if I just wonder why it was 12. And the only thing that can come to mind is the fire department. I don't know, because the fire department has its own section.
It was 20, reduced to 12 because of the fire.
I think that it
Well,
has
because
a
I mean, I
lot
know somebody
to
who works
do.
36 hours a week, every week, 52 weeks a year, but they're under the per diem. I mean, they fall under the per diem, but I mean, I guess technically they also fall under the part-time. So I didn't know if it was 12 because that's the typical shift at the fire department is a 12-hour shift.
That might be.
I'd be interested to know. It was 20 at one point.
You're right. It was
Okay.
all had to do with per diem and changing the wording too.
But it is voted in. Do we want to make a motion on changing the word permanent to continuous, or do we want, you'll look back and see if we already did that?
I think you should let me just see why.
Okay.
We literally just changed it in December. But I think we need to vote to take sick time out, sick leave, and put earned paid leave there. Because she's right.
I make a motion, we change the wording that reads sick leave to earned paid leave.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. All right, next on the agenda, thank you, Cindy. Next on the agenda, I have the Moore Building sale. The check has been mailed and the deed has been recorded at the registry. I know it's the same question each week, but any update on the municipal building parking lot paving?
Howard spearheaded the last meeting.
We met with another engineering firm the other day and gave them all the whole concept, what we're looking for, and now we're just waiting for them to get their proposals together. That makes the second one we've talked to, so, and they, both companies seem to be very interested in it, so.
Awesome.
Of course we.
Well, thank you guys for spearheading that.
The only question I got on that is, if we got a check for ledge out there, can we have the road commissioner or his assistant, if he's got his little excavator, dig some holes out there to check?
I'm fine with that.
And do we pay for that out of this account?
Depending on how much it is, yes, we would pay for it out of this account.
Okay.
Because it has to do with the paving, but
An idea.
yeah, just, okay.
Will it be under $24.99?
If so, we have to go to
Take
three
me
bids.
longer to drive here and drive home as it will to dig a couple holes.
It could be $24.99.99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would help both those companies, because
Yep.
that was a question that, you know, Bernie and I both know there's ledge out there, but we don't know just how far it is down, and either we do it on ourselves and let them know where it is, or else they're gonna have to pay them to bring somebody else in, and that's gonna be.
I think we just ought to do that ourselves
Yep.
rather than pay the markup. Once we decide who's gonna do the work, then we can tell them we'll do that.
We probably ought to plan a field trip out there so we can all get involved, so you can see what we're up against. Hopefully it's not down, you know, hopefully it's deep, so you can get a footing in the future. But, no, we'll plan on it.
All right, thank you.
Like I said, once we select the firm that's gonna do it, we'll take that task and do it rather than pay them the markup to do it.
You already know up front they're gonna have to survey the lot, so. We've got one side, we're pretty sure we know where the lines are, but the other side, over here, the Folsom side, there is no indication where that line is, and I don't think that's ever been, at least when I was on the board before, I dealt with Mr. Folsom. We never did come up with the exact line, so these guys would, going back searching the deeds.
All right, but yeah, I think that would be a good idea to just check for some ledge.
One thing about the two companies we've talked to so far, they both do everything in-house. They don't sub out anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is what they do. This is their specialty.
Yep.
So,
All right, next we have the sign approval letter for the $2,000 check from the Water and Sewer District. We voted on that last week, so we just need to sign that after the meeting. Overlook camera. I don't have an update.
Do we want? I think John was going to check
So, yeah,
again
we
with
will-
Minuteman, and if not, then maybe we want to see if.
Verizon.
Do we know if those are up? And
They're still on my island.
okay.
I meant to get with Greg and get them up, and every night.
Maybe we don't want to check until we know for sure.
Yeah, I know they work, but Greg, if you're watching this, I will get with you at some point this week. Adding that to my list. Where's my list? I'll find it. If Minuteman doesn't have a good price or whatever, I will check with Verizon. Ricky, did you have something?
Yeah, we're up next.
Oh,
Next.
come on up. Discussion of winter maintenance road list.
Ricky Richardson, Road Commissioner. Stan gave me a list of the winter maintenance written record here back in 2015. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Do you have a copy?
Yeah,
Okay. Some of the roads have been opened up, or at least a portion of them has been opened up for winter maintenance. Portion of the Wynn Griffith Road has been opened up to a Bill White who put a trailer in, and we've got to improve that road 600 feet and put a hammerhead in for a turnaround, and he's agreed to let us use his driveway for that turnaround. Years ago, we used to go all the way to Wynn Griffith's house. This is probably about 300 feet before that. It's already being plowed. It was plowed last winter. So we've got to improve the road a little bit to make it a little more feasible for the plowing contractor and emergency vehicles.
How far is it to the Cornish line from there? Quite a ways?
From Wynn Griffith's house to, it says here, to the Limerick Cornish town line is approximately a mile. I don't know if it's quite a mile, but it's a long ride up through there, and it's rough.
Yeah.
Because that comes out on that, if you go up the Kimball Hill Road and bear right in Cornish off Route 5. Kimball Hill, it's a real steep hill. If you go to the top of that, hang a right, that brings you to the beginning of this, or the end of this road.
It goes up to the old
It's called the old
Stone Farm.
Stone Farm, that's
Yeah.
right. I don't know if it's a mile, but it's quite a hike up through there. And the Shire Road comes in from Dole's Ridge, behind the old sanitation and recycling facility, to Blackberry Lane, And that's maintained, a portion of that road is maintained by the homeowners. Because back when Mike Humphrey built out there, he had it paved, and he took care of that. So from after Phil Smith's house, you can head towards the dog road and take a right,
Yeah.
and that's still private. They still take care of that themselves, but that was at one time a town road.
But the rest of that isn't open to winter maintenance, out to Lucian's?
Yes, we're getting up to that next. That's coming right up. The Limerick-Leamington line on Staples Hill Road, there's a house on the top of that right now on the Limerick side, and that section of road is really horrible. Stan's been trying to get that improved for quite some time, because we had a woods fire up there last year, and it was pretty rough to get through with fire trucks.
Now, that house, is that John Smith's old place?
No, it's beyond that, towards Leamington. If you go up, like...
John's is, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new house is...
I haven't been down there lately.
The pavement stops right at that new house, which is on the Limerick line, I believe. But from there down to Coffin Hill Road, heading towards like Neil Meltz's, number 10 is a house just as you pull onto Staples Hill Road, but from there up, it's very rough. But that's closed to winter maintenance also. And then you've got Coffin Hill Road, goes from Prokey subdivision, and there is a house beyond the subdivision now, which I believe it was one of Prokey's properties that he sold. But from there up to 8 Coffin Hill Road, which is off of Emery Corner Road and Sawyer's Mountain Road, where the intersection is, that portion is closed, still closed to winter maintenance. And
You know, there's talks they're gonna open up that development up in there, so that means we're gonna be building a road.
the way Stan explained it, if this other contractor purchased the property off of Prokey, he's gonna do the road improvements.
You should.
That's part of the deal, from what I can understand. Then you've got the Old Dog Road, which we were talking about, from Central Avenue in to Lucian Langlois's, which is right on the Leamington line. It was opened up, I believe, it says here in 2023, the town voted to reopen it for winter maintenance. And that, to this day, from 11/7 of 23, was voted to reopen it. And they are plowing it in the wintertime, and we're taking care of it in the summertime. But Lucian grades it with his tractor, so. And then you've got Watson Hill Road, where the pavement ends. It's the resident of Blaine Pierce and Jane Ratz, 297. From there to the Cornish town line, where it comes out up by Frank Samuel's old house there. That's still closed. And there's a wicked big beaver dam at the foot of the hill there. You've probably
Should
seen
stay
that.
closed.
Yeah, comes out on Route 5. That's still closed. And then you've got from the Quarry Road over to Sawyer's Mountain Road. It used to be called the Allen Road, but now they call it the Nason Road. That's opened up because there's 2 new residents in there after one's across from the old James O'Donnell property, and there's another one beyond that, which isn't too far. It's only like 100 feet.
Those are the ones in there on the right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's still quite a few roads that are still closed to winter maintenance, but slowly, as land is being developed, more and more is getting opened up, slowly but surely.
If you go beyond that point, or that second house has been put up there, that's wetting the devil in there.
Yeah, on the right-hand
That
side.
road.
The road's pretty good shape.
But both sides of it.
Yeah, both sides of it, you're right,
It's a problem.
it's wet, yep. And that's what we got for winter road on the record here. Anybody got any questions?
I don't think so. Does the board want to make the recommended changes? Or do we want to wait
We are gonna have to update
more?
this schedule here and change like the Wynn Griffith Road in 600 feet.
Okay.
It's not a lot of money. We wanna make it safe and passable and accessible, but there's also a lot of other work that's gotta be taken care of too in the meantime. So we're gonna do the best we can with what we got to make that road safe and passable and create a nice hammerhead for turnaround. I think the homeowner's on board, so he's a real nice guy, and he's willing to let us use his driveway, like I said, and pretty much anything we need. He's a pretty good guy to get along with, so we're gonna take advantage of that, and we're gonna work together with him, and it's gonna be good for everybody.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you for the
Good.
time on this.
All right, thank you.
We do have to sign the appointment papers for the appeals board member. We already voted her in. So we just need to sign those after the meeting. Discuss the bills sent to the town office, and are we dating and stamping all invoices? How does the board feel about that?
I think we should.
And we have the date stamps I saw, I think. I saw. Okay. So,
So is that for all departments? You want all invoices dated and stamped? So that would mean that when Judy gets the mail, then it would go straight to Julie for sorting first. And then dating and stamping.
And she'll stamp it then.
Yeah, so now what happens, Judy gets the mail, or I think Dottie might get it one day. She separates it, Judy takes her mail, Cindy's goes in her bag, Dottie's goes down to hers. So now it would mean that Julie's needs to get all of the mail, sort it, stamp whatever, and then give it to the appropriate department heads. If I'm correct.
I mean, yeah, the way that it was just stated, then yes, that would be the way that I understand it. However, I mean, I don't think that, I think the biggest issue might have been, I don't even know if it was the PO system. Not the PO system itself, the PO system not being implemented or not being used. So therefore, I mean, I think that when we say that we used to do it this way, we used to have all the bills come into one office, then the department heads would come down. Obviously, somewhere along the way, it wasn't working out, so it changed. I don't see the need to change it back to this way. That's putting more on some people's plates. It's taking less off others. But that's just, I'm one of five. So I just...
If the bills come in, irregardless who picks the mail up, any bill should go right directly to Julie and be stamped with there. It doesn't have, the main thing is right now, we want to eliminate this business of staying on somebody's desk.
Every time there's been a bill that has been sitting on somebody's desk, there has been a valid reason for it. It's not, oh, it was forgotten about, or oh, I was late. Every bill that has been brought up in the last month, there's been a valid reason for it, and we have been explained on why it has been sitting on the desk. Moving forward, I just think a bill comes in, goes to Julie, Julie stamps it, then puts it in a mailbox, then Joanne comes down, grabs the bill, either takes it or codes it there, hands it back to Julie. Now Julie has seen the bill twice. Julie cuts a check, gives it to us to review. I think that, I mean, it used to just, go directly to the departments? I think it should stay that way, but maybe we get the department heads a stamp. I mean, Julie?
Why can't you just let it, what you're doing, and I stamp it the day that I get it, the bill from the department head, and thereby you're looking at the date that it was cut, already by the manufacturer or whomever, and you'll see that the duration from point A to me being point B, that's your time frame. This one stamp, that way you're not covering your bill, because some of your bills are 4x4s, and the stamp is about bigger than a silver dollar, so I'm gonna say it's 2.5, 3 inches in diameter.
It's like a notary stamp.
Yeah.
It's even bigger.
Some of it's even bigger than my notary stamp. But if you do it that way, I think, try it. Let's try it for a couple months, see what happens. Let it go the same way, and I'll date stamp everything when it comes to me.
Is that, you mean stamping it when they give it to you for the with the PO, or?
Yes. When it comes to be paid, that's when I would get it. And then all you gotta do is look at the dates on the invoice and on your purchase order to know when it hit the building.
Which,
or else have a date stamp and they just stamp the envelope, every envelope,
yeah.
and before it goes to it, and the envelope follows the bill through.
Well, I think that was fine, except we've singled out our fire chief and his department, and now we've said all of his invoices, mail, email, need to come to the treasurer's office. So why are we singling out just the fire chief?
Oh, we're not singling out just the fire chief.
We are if we have, because now we say the fire chief can't get his own mail. They has to come here to this office. If it has to come here to this office, for Julie to date and stamp his mail, she should be dating and stamping every invoice for every department head in this building. And I'm not against anything, Judy, Dee Dee, nobody. I'm just saying you've now said that Vinny's mail has to come to this building because he can't get his own mail at his fire station anymore.
I thought we talked to everybody. I thought we talked to everybody, not just the fire department.
Yeah.
But now everybody's not as.
The subject was brought up about.
But everybody's stuff isn't time date
after
stamped
the
here.
Invoices came in, that was the subject. But
But
other than
it's-
that, everybody's comes in.
Everybody's supposed to come here, but Vinny has, just a minute, Gail. Vinny sometimes has to hold his invoices back because some of the stuff is back ordered and the bill doesn't get paid till all the material is received. That's how it works.
But if you're not.
That's why some of his
But he
invoices.
doesn't need to hold the invoice.
Huh?
He needs to receipt it and send that receiving ticket, which he has a copy to use, and then you do the three-way match. I want to go to mail, stamping mail, okay? It doesn't have to be a treasurer. A mail, I've worked in many facilities where a person is delegated to open the mail and stamp it. Doesn't have to be the treasurer. It would like never be the treasurer.
Who would it be?
It would be a mail clerk in most places. A mail clerk, okay. You don't take somebody getting paid what she's paying and stamping everybody's mail. I'm sorry, but
But then
however you do
we
it.
add a position? I mean, if
No, you don't add a position, but you figure out how to do it. And all the mail comes to one person. That person stamps it that day, half day, whatever it takes. Okay, maybe you spread it out so it evens out. And then it's done, okay? Bills come to accounts payable, the treasurer, okay? The treasurer pays that bill when the receiver, the fire chief or whomever, sends the receiving ticket saying it's okay to pay. That's what this policy that you put in place January 1st of this year says. If you read it, it says that. There's a three-way match. That's why we have a three-part purchase order. And so Vinny has his copy. He keeps all the receiving tickets as it comes in. I don't care if there's a dozen receipts, and he doesn't want that. He holds those receipts. But this lady, when she gets called from the vendor saying, where the hell's my money? Okay, she's got something to go by, and she's got her copy of the PO, and she's got the invoice, but she hasn't got the receiving ticket yet. Okay, because Vinnie's holding it. It's that simple.
But should she be
Vinnie's pretty
stamping all
meticulous
of
on
it?
his records. He is very meticulous on his records, and it's not fair that all of a sudden he's being singled out.
Nobody's singling him out.
Oh, we absolutely singled him out. We
once or
for
twice a
sure
week
did.
and look at his bills, and we go over them. We did the same thing on the fire station. He is meticulous on his records, and he has been singled out because he is held back. He is held back from the vendor because the vendor has not provided him the material.
Correct. But he hasn't. All he has to do, he can accomplish that with a receiving ticket. He can accomplish the same thing.
The vendor
He's
should be
got a
calling him if there's an issue.
They are.
But
They're not calling me.
That's fine.
But he
That's how
knows.
it should be.
He knows that because he's got his receiving ticket and he's got his original PO. He knows what's going on.
What I'm saying is right now, Vinnie gets his mail. What is the difference if Vinnie's mail comes and it gets stamped and put in that file folder right there? Why is every invoice, if it's going to be coming to this building, should be held the same way? Either stamped, Julie gets every accounts payable.
Yes.
People don't get to separate the mail and take it to their different departments if she only has to do that for Vinnie's. That's what we said. We said Vinnie's mail has to come here now. And if you're only going to have Judy separated and put in that box, what is the difference in Vinnie getting his mail still at the fire station and handling it? If Julie is not going to take it and date and stamp it like every other invoice that comes into this building.
Well, the system that I used to work under, we had this.
In what year was
I
it?
did it for 30 years.
What year, though?
People do this all the time. Their bills come to the
Okay, then
accounts
Julie
payable.
has to get every invoice. That's what I'm saying. Like, it has to be the same across the board. It can't be that the other department heads are getting their mail.
I agree.
It wasn't supposed to be. I don't remember the fire department being singled out. I don't know how we got to this point.
Well, his mail has to come here now. That is singling
Yes, and
him
so
out.
does everybody else's.
But you're saying basically like his mail needs to come here now and get put in that box right there, and Julie doesn't see it. That's what happens to rec, water district. Who else is up there? Julie doesn't see an invoice that goes in one of those things that's hanging on the wall. Right now, it comes in. Judy separates it. They go in the appropriate mailboxes. So how is that any different than Vinnie getting his mail at the fire station?
If it doesn't come here in a state stamp, they don't come down and review the bills and then code them right here, and then they're passed on to the treasurer.
Okay, so that's what I want to make sure that I pass along to department heads in this building, that all invoices get date and stamped. That's what I need this board to decide right now.
The invoice should have the PO number. The PO number is on file in her file, already with the coded general ledger number. The PO has to be on the invoice.
Just needs to be date stamped when it's received.
Yes.
That's what we're running into.
Yes.
And it's like I said, it kind of bothers me that the fire department got singled out, because I don't know how we came down that road.
Joanne?
I've got a whole different situation. All of my bills come to that computer in that office.
So from what I understand, the rest of the board can correct me if I'm wrong, what they want to do is have you reach out to all of the people who send you invoices and change it to
Have them
Julie's
sent
email.
over to Julie's.
Both of us get them. Julie,
I get Eco.
you get Eco.
That's all.
You need to get Triano.
I don't get Triano's.
Let's get a motion on the table.
Say you just can't print it out and give it to them.
That's what I've been doing.
That's how it's been working.
That's how I've been doing
Why
it.
can't you have an email account, accounts receivable, Town of Limerick, and it goes to there? It doesn't have to be password protected. You can restrict it so they can't send anything out. It all comes to that computer. Then if she's out, somebody else can go in and get it. I don't know what's so difficult about that.
I print it out. I print them out, 2 of them. I code it, and I walk it down, and I
Give it
You
to
don't
Julie.
need to code it at that point. You code it on the purchase order that you place, including every contract.
Well, we talked about-
That's what the SOP says. That's what was approved by this board. You're just simply not following the approved SOP.
We talked about that, because I have monthly bills that come from EcoMaine. There's 3 of them that comes from EcoMaine. I have a monthly bill that comes from Triano. Those are the major bills for the transfer station, right there. The only bills that I don't get, and they go directly to Julie, is if,
J.C. Carroll, and your water.
well,
No, you don't have water down there.
no, just Steve Richardson.
Yeah,
Steve Richardson.
and that one they wanted the PO.
Yeah, but your other
So
bills
from
are
now
already
on,
coded, right?
From now on, I have Steve give me the bill. I'll make a copy of it, code it, and give it to Julie. But we talked about not having to have a SOP for I get 3 bills from EcoMaine every month.
Right, we did.
And they're all coded the same, correct? I mean, they have their separate codes, but
They
it's
have
the
their
same
separate
every month for
codes.
that code, correct?
That's right.
I don't know why it can't,
And we
I don't
talked
know why
about
we can't
having
establish
an
an
annual
email
one.
account, accounts receivable.
This comes every month. Triano's bill comes every month.
Huh?
Every company's different.
The company,
Do email and
the company that takes our recycling TVs and electronics, they come 4 times a year, every 3 months.
You simply issue one purchase order on January 1st of every year that it's going to happen, the PO and the code.
Yep. That's what we
Do you know
talked
the
about.
prices on January 1st?
No, I have no idea.
Prices change,
I guess,
so you don't know to put it, what to
I
put
mean,
down.
I'll get on the air and say it.
I
I
will.
guess the purchase order policy was implemented before I understood what it meant. Because the purchase order policy, the way that it is, I feel like we are going 14 steps backwards. And do you have something to say, Gail?
Not when you want cash flow, not when you want to know what's going on.
Okay, but when I say that we're going 14 step backwards and the treasurer agrees with me, who the purchase orders are supposed to help.
We're not going backwards when you've got a bill from this auditor for tens of thousands of dollars because coding wasn't in place. And it's happening in 2025, and we'll stop making a new list, okay? Because you don't have purchase orders with the code on it for her to pull and know what the hell's going on. And that goes on with this board, it goes on with every department, I think.
Then
Some are much better than
if
others.
that's the case, that the bill doesn't have a purchase order and it shouldn't be paid, why is the bill paid?
Can I make a suggestion?
Because
Please.
Let's have a workshop,
Yeah.
and we won't be here all night long.
Because I've been here 3 times asking, do you want the budget committee or somebody to stand up here and teach this? I've asked that at least 3 times since January.
All right, is there a motion on the table for what to do with these invoices?
I will volunteer to set up a PO system. The way I know it, and it works. I know the system. I worked under it for 30 years, and it works, just like Gail's talking about. Because if you don't have that PO system in place, we don't know what's coming in, and we can't manage the budget.
Correct. And it's manual right now. but-
The big problem that people have with POs is they gotta make them out.
The problem is, and this is what the budget committee told everybody that was there when this was being discussed, that the biggest problem with this PO system was going to be changing a behavior. That's what
right.
we're talking about right now.
You're
But-
totally right.
But what people have to spend, like me, on one little account, 8 hours straightening it out for an auditor who's still doing, we're 6 months into the year, okay, and we haven't got 2024 closed. That's because you didn't have a purchase order system.
And they're still
And
not
you think this
communicating.
person over here is a mind reader, and she's not. And neither was Laura. This is not a new problem.
No.
Laura had the same problem, and people were always propping it up. It's time to change.
I get the mail mainly because of the checks. If checks come in, they're supposed to be bonded to handle checks, to make sure they go where they're supposed to go. All I do, along with the ballots, no one's touched the ballot. So when it's voting time, it has to be the town clerk or the deputy or whatever to pick up those ballots. That's state law. I get the mail. If it's for the Slutman's, if it says Slutman's office, Slutman's secretary, I put it right on her desk. If it says treasurer, I put it right on Julie's desk. Town clerk goes to her, tax collector goes to me, I bring the code office into him. If I was rec and all that, other departments, I put them on her desk. I do not put them in those little folders over there. Let them do whatever. We sometimes even get water and sewer money. So then I have to call Tony up or Aaron, but we got a check here at the office, you want to come get it. That's how it's handled. As far as these purchase orders and someone's not getting paid, that's not my problem. Not for getting it out of the mailbox. Fire department stuff, if it's something that says on the fire department, again, I would bring it to the secretary. Because it's not money. It's whether it's magazines or whatever we get here. Just want to set the record straight.
Well, I just want you to know, it wasn't against you getting the mail or how
Well,
you
you were
get...
saying Judy comes in, she puts stuff
well,
in there.
You're right.
Judy don't.
So the problem is that when they voted to change the fire department stuff, it's not the same for every department in what they want Julie to do just with fire department invoices. So Vinnie's mail is now all supposed to come here, and it's all supposed to be time, date, and stamped by Julie for his invoices. He gets his own mail now. So now all of his stuff is supposed to come here. So the problem is we just don't have the same process for all departments.
Again, if we get bills for the tax collector,
they should be,
or the town clerks for the election stuff, we bring them into the treasurer.
And she should be dating and stamping them.
So if he gets the bills
that's
at the
what
fire station,
he's not now.
then he needs to bring the bills down here.
They're all supposed to come
Not sit
here
there
now.
and hold them for a month or two. I don't know any other fire chiefs in past that did that. Again, that's a totally different department. Has nothing to do with the mail out in that mailbox.
Well, it will now because all of his stuff's coming here.
Okay, then it will go onto your desk and you can give him a call and tell him he's got mail. How hard is that? I guess that's all I have to say.
No department report, though.
So what are we doing this week? Is there a motion? I want to move on from this.
You want to keep things the way they are until we streamline this? I don't know how this got so convoluted. I haven't quite figured that out yet.
Frankly,
Well,
Bernie,
because
I don't care.
Complicated system.
It obviously is.
But
So,
have you ever worked under it, Brady?
a purchase order system?
Yeah.
No, and I've worked for
Okay.
some very large companies.
Okay.
Okay, all right, we're moving on. Alicia, do you have anything on the Spectrum invoices?
No, Julie and I, now there's been a little, well, so it's cable that we have in here that we're paying for. It's not another internet, but we've been told that we should have free cable. So now I need to go look at the contract and contact Spectrum back because it's not free. So another week.
All right, discussion of the CDBG award letter. We got a letter for Katie Proctor. Dear Ms. Proctor, the Office of Community Development is inviting the town of Limerick into the project development phase of the application process. This invitation is contingent upon receipt of funding from the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. We have reserved $1 million for your project. This invitation is not a guarantee of funding. Final approval of this project is subject to funding availability and successful completion of a contract. Terry Ann Holden, Program Development Manager from our office, will work with your community to complete this process. She'll be contacting you soon. Congratulations on your selection to proceed in the application process. Best wishes toward the successful completion of your project. So just making everybody aware of that letter. Is there any hearing of citizens?
Wait a minute, I got something.
There's a condition in that letter.
What?
Isn't there a condition in that letter?
As a condition of your award, your attendance is required at the CDBG implementation training workshop later this year. Further details will be forthcoming. Okay, is there any volunteers?
Need to know what it is, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not committing myself until I know what date it is.
That person participates in the execution of the project. They attend the monthly meetings with the contractor, the water and sewer trustees, the engineering company. When the contractor presents a bill, that person has to sign that bill before it is forwarded to
The treasurer's
the
office with the
treasurer's
purchase order?
office. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and they can participate on with the CDAC Commission Advisory Committee that CDBG says if they want to too. But they have to do what I just said during the execution of the project.
Hasn't that been John Cleveland in the past?
No, John Cleveland is the project leader of these projects, okay? But they want a select board member to sign those documents for authorization to pay or request the funds. The workshop is usually 1 or 2 days.
I think we need more information before assigning somebody, unless somebody wants to volunteer to do it. I'm not volunteering until I have more information on a time, date, and location.
I babysat the last big project. I'm really not. Just making one. I got something I want to bring up on the new business, if I could.
Yeah, I just have a quick announcement. The next town time capsule meeting will be June 4th at 6 p.m.
Not June 11th.
Not the 11th.
June 4th.
June 4th. Burnham?
Just food for thought. Getting back to what Ricky said with all these developments and everything coming in, all this road stuff, is it possible we could consider a growth fee, not an impact fee? An impact fee has certain specific conditions, or you have to spend it within a certain amount of time. A growth fee, you can put it into the capital improvement account and use it to build up the infrastructure or pay off the water and sewer bond or the fire department bond. I think...
I had a conversation with Stan about this.
Well, I think we ought to consider that. I know Standish just went up to $3,000 a house. That, you know, we've got to do something. If all these houses come in, we're going to be overwhelmed.
Well, we've got a potential right now of 150 houses.
I know that. And another thing, maybe we ought to consider a moratorium or so many houses a year. The school budget's getting out of control to start with, but we need to take care of our infrastructure here in town. We really do. I just would like us as a board to pursue that growth fee or growth tax, whatever you want to call it.
I think at a minimum, we have to have the growth fee, and if either one, as far as I'm concerned, I'm on board with it. But we're growing at such a rate that
We are growing.
maybe a moratorium's not too far-fetched.
Well, we've got to do something to get a handle on the demand on the services we have and on the town roads. You don't have to drive very far to see when you pull up to Main Street and you wait 2 or 3 minutes sometimes for the traffic to go through. And it's everywhere, so just...
From what I understand is one contractor, he's known for putting up houses fast. And if that's the case, where I'm hearing he's looking, or bought, I don't know if it's all gone through yet, but if we get impacted with 50 houses, and you've got 2 kids per house, you've got obviously 100 kids at 8 times $18,000 a kid, and we're only gonna get probably maybe $2,500 worth of taxes per house. It doesn't take, this isn't rocket science. We're in the negative quick.
The trouble is, these big developments, the streets aren't set up for it. There's no sidewalks or anything. If you have all those kids and everything else, we've got to try to plan here a little bit. I think
the
a
only way to
growth
do it-
tax is the way to go.
Well, from the planning aspect, right, the only way to do it is have a moratorium.
I think that's another way to go too, but
Let the
that-
planning board work on it to kind of spearhead get our policies, 'cause our policies need some work.
I had a conversation with Stan before this meeting, and I asked him to talk about this next week while either, I can't remember the exact words, either next week or next time he is in here. I think he plans on being here next week. So I asked him to bring this up, because
he was supposed to come tonight. I asked him to come tonight because I had a conversation with him about it this morning too. We've got to do something. We have to do something.
He's meeting with the planning board with a workshop, the next meeting. Was it the 4th?
June 4th, yeah.
Stan's meeting with the planning board. They're going to go into a workshop to discuss this.
You know, we had a similar situation way back, a place called Arrowhead. Joanne, you remember that? We were just caught basically with our pants down with our zone nuns and stuff, and they basically told us what we were gonna do.
Yep. Well, that's the reason we have subdivision laws, like Arrowhead.
Yeah, but our subdivision laws aren't anyways near tough enough.
Look at the fee Arrowhead puts on, anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. Build a house.
Well, they're not too far off either.
Do they still have an impact fee?
yeah,
Yep.
we just paid one today.
Did you see Stan's paperwork last year? He put in town report 47 houses, and we're already halfway there this year.
Yeah. And then you're looking at possibly another 150? A lot of housing.
It's gonna happen because this is a hot spot.
It's gonna happen. Everything's moving out this way, but we've got
10
this.
years ago, it's like, it was, you'd sell, do 4 or 5 houses a year, now it's 30, 40.
Does that have to go before the town?
If it's an ordinance,
Moratorium does.
depends on how you write it.
Okay.
You can limit them, you can limit the amount, and also limit how many one person can have in a year.
I think if you put a moratorium, that's one thing. I still think we need, that growth fee is gonna be a huge step.
I think Baldwin has like 15 a year and only one per person. First come, first
What,
served.
15 permits a year?
We had that once, I think, way back.
Years ago, we had one.
What happened to it?
It's on the website.
Did it end?
It's on the website. It's on the website.
Okay, I just asked if it ended. I didn't ask where it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just a short period of time.
Well, just food for thought. Just food for thought.
Actually, I think that was because of Arrowhead.
All right, is there anything else under new business?
No,
Is there any hearing of citizens?
sorry.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.